Hey, welcome back to our 8th tutorial on WordPress. This is Ruben Maldonado with iRise Digital. So without further ado, let's get into what we call adding information into widget areas. We've explained before, but I'll explain it again, that you have your main area where your page or your post is located. And then you have different areas on your website where you can add in information, additional information that is not necessarily the page or post. And you can add menus, search items, you can add banners to the top, pictures on the side, you can add things in the footer. So all these areas have different designations in WordPress. If we go to our dashboard, and we go to here, appearances and widgets. Along this side, you see that there are little boxes here. These boxes are the different widget areas. So you have a primary widget area, a secondary widget area, and the primary widget area will be on the left-hand side of your page or post, and the secondary widget area here will be on the right hand side of your post. You have a first top widget area, a second top widget area. That would be one there and then one right underneath it, basically going the width of the screen. Then you have first bottom, second bottom, and you kind of get the hint. You have all of these: first, second, third, top, bottom, footer, so on and so forth. So let's say you want to add in information and you want to put it on every single page of your website. Okay, that could very easily be done just simply by adding information into these primary widget areas. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to add in a search bar. I can add that, and we'll call this one, just type in the title, search. Okay, and then you have some different appearances you can choose from. For now, we'll just choose default, the sidebar default, and we'll save. If we go back to the home page, hit refresh. Okay, now you see the primary widget area, which is on the left hand side. This primary widget area box here on the back end, I added this widget into that widget area. So it simply replaced what was on the screen with what is in our widget area. Let's say I wanted to add in some text. I can take this Black Studio MCE editor, place it there, and I can write, "Hello, how are you?" And let's add some fanciness to this. I'm going to make this one a heading and make this one blue. Okay. So as soon as you type something into the Black Studio Tiny MCE, you need to save this, because if you just close it out, what you typed in there will not be saved. So now I have that saved. I can collapse this box, scroll back up, and in this primary widget area, now we have two widgets. We have a search widget, and then we have the Black Studio Tiny MCE widget. If we refresh the page, now you see that we have the search widget on top and the Tiny MCE editor widget right below. Now, let's say we wanted, "Hello, how are you?" You wanted to place it on this side. Let's open this box and drag it into the secondary widget area. If we refresh the page, you now see that the widget has moved from the primary area over to the secondary area. You can remove widgets from the widget areas by simply dragging it off of the box and dropping it back over here. Now let's say you've created something, but you don't want it in that widget area, but you want to be able to use it at a later date. You can take it and drag it down into this inactive widget area. And I should have actually labeled this one, given it a title. I'll just say testing. And now that we have it labeled, I can collapse it, and you see here it says testing. So that it gives me a hint as to what is in there. So I have previously created all of these items. There are two different types of menus. There's a custom menu, and then there's a vertical menu. A custom menu is just a regular menu. Vertical menus add a little bit more style, a little more pizzazz. So I've created a vertical menu, this here web menu. Let's drag it up, place it. Let's have the search box on top. You see how you can switch the order of the widgets in the widget area. Refresh. And now you have a web menu on the side and your search widget on the top. Now, what ends up happening here is that when you place things in the primary widget areas, as you see, we clicked on another page, but the same menu stays there. If I click on the graphics, you can see that here is a menu that we've created for the website section of the website. Now, I really wouldn't want a web menu on my graphic design section. So what I would like to do is place a graphics menu here. So if I were to remove the web menu and grab my graphics menu, which is down here, if I add my graphics menu there, hit refresh, you see that the graphics menu pops up right where it needs to be. But if I were to go to my web, you still see the graphics menu here. So by placing items in the primary widget areas, what you're essentially doing is you're placing items as a default on all pages. That could be great if you want something to show up on every single page throughout your website. That's great. But most websites don't function that way. They have certain items on the sidebars pertaining to that area of your website. So how would you do that? That's where your sidebar manager comes into play. For the sidebar manager, you can create sidebars and then apply those to specific pages. Now, previously I had done a video where I was talking about the pages versus posts and why you would want to choose one over the other. I had decided that posts were the way to go until I came across the sidebar manager, and I'll show you here in a second as to why. So first of all, let's start off by creating a new sidebar. I want to add a sidebar. So this sidebar, I'm going to call this one web menu. And I want to place this one on the primary widget area. So for this website, or basically all these pages on my website, I want a web menu to come up on this side of all of these pages here. And then for the graphics, I want this menu that you're seeing here to show up on these pages. So I'm going to create a sidebar called web menu where we're going to place that menu throughout all of the pages that I select. Okay, as you see here on this side is a list of pages that I want to apply that to. Now that I've selected all the pages that I want, I have 3 or 4 on this page. If I go to the next listing, there's also 4 other ones. So it's a total of 8 pages that I want this web menu to show up on. Once I have the pages selected and all these fields filled out, I'll hit Save Sidebar. So we've created a web menu sidebar. Now what we have to do is we have to add content into that sidebar. Because as for now, if I were to refresh the page, you see that nothing changes because we haven't added the content that we need into that sidebar. So it's going to pull up what was there before. So how do you add content into your sidebar? Just like I was teaching you before, you go to your widgets, and instead of this time putting it on the primaries, what you would do is place it in this web menu. Now what I would like to do is in the web menu here, we're going to grab the custom menu, or I'm sorry, the vertical menu named web menu and stick it there. And also on that sidebar, I wanted to add a search widget. Search widgets are up here somewhere. And I'm going to drop it down in there. So within the web menu, you have a search widget and you have a vertical menu. I'm going to refresh the page. Let's zoom back out so you can see. All right, so now the sidebar that we had in there is now replaced with the sidebar that we created with the search widget and web menu. And as you can see, if we go through all the pages associated with web, that sidebar is on each and every single one of those pages. Okay, let's do the same thing with the graphics. Okay, here I have graphics menu. We had already created a, you see this here where it says primary. I'm going to take all this stuff out because I don't want my primaries to show up. I wanted to create a menu or sidebar called graphics sidebar. So sidebar manager, add a sidebar. I'm going to call this one graphics sidebar. Put it in the primary widget area. And select the pages that I want this to show up. Okay, now that I have everything selected, I'm going to save the sidebar. Let's head on over to the widgets under appearances. We're going to place a vertical menu and we're going to select the custom menu, and that's the graphics menu. So we'll save this. And I'm also going to add in a search widget also here to keep it searchable, all my pages you can search from. Let's zoom out. Okay, both of these are saved. Now if we go back over to the graphics menu, nothing much has changed because that was already in the intended pages. But as we scroll down, we'll see that the correct sidebar is now associated with all of the pages that I wanted to be on. So you kind of get the idea. You can do this over and over and over again. Essentially, what we had done is created a sidebar. So let's add another sidebar really quickly. And instead of doing a primary widget area, this time we're going to do the secondary widget area. And this side, the secondary widget area, I want to customize it for the page. So I'm going to have this one as a general for everything about graphics. So if we go to, let's say, digital business cards, what I want to do on this side is I want to show a list of all the images for digital business cards. As we see here, on this slider, but this will be bam in your face, all the business cards at once. So let's get into that really quick. And let's search to see there. Yeah, there's a business card sidebar. Okay, what we're going to do is we want to add images to this. So I can do that by grabbing the Tiny MCE editor. Here it is. Dropping it in. And we're going to add media. I'm going to choose, I have these in several different sizes. If I click on this one, you see the size is 600 by 360. I can choose that image and place it in there, but I had already customized some smaller images, a 250 by 150. So I'm going to stick that in instead of the larger image. All right, I quickly added in 4 images. I'm going to save this. Okay. So you have business card sidebar, and then I've added in all the business card images that I want in that sidebar, and I hit save. Now we have to make sure that the sidebar is on the correct page. Sidebar manager. Here's my business card sidebar. I'm going to edit it. And I only want this on one page, the digital business cards page. So that correct page is selected. I'm going to save it. Now if I were to refresh my page, there you have all of the business cards, or some of the business cards on there. So really cool. You can add information to primary, secondary, and you can do this all throughout your website, top, bottom, and the possibilities are endless. So on the next video, I will be covering how to add a slideshow, as we see here, how to add a slideshow to your website. This is Ruben with iRise Digital, and I'll see you on the next tutorial.